The personal credit cards you have on your profile is a significant thing that the banks, the underwriters are looking for. The easiest and most effective way to build scores is going to be through these subscriptions I'm about to go through.
Jack McColl is the credit stacking strategist. He's helped over 3,000 entrepreneurs secure between $100,000 and $250,000 in business credit. And here's the catch. He shows them how to do it without loans, without tax returns, and without investors.
You guys ready for this one? This is a good one. So I spoke last year at the Tax Alchemy event, and I basically took some of my more advanced concepts from my new course that I just released a couple weeks ago and put into this presentation for you guys, because it's something that I didn't even know about for my first 7 years as an entrepreneur, and I didn't even check my credit for my first 7 years in business. I don't know if I was just naive or stupid or what. I studied business at the University of Washington, and they didn't teach about the two most important things in business, in my opinion, and that is tax strategy and how to fund businesses. Those are like the two most important things, in my opinion, to start a business, to know those two things. And so when I learned about this in 2020, it absolutely blew my mind on what you can do with business credit, on the limits you can get, the fact that the accounts don't report to your personal credit profile, which means you can utilize the debt, doesn't affect your score, and then it's 0% for 9 to 18 months. Who here, if you had access to $100,000 that someone would lend to you for free for a year, you could make more money, right? I think everyone probably can. And so I really like to teach people how to legally and ethically take advantage of the banks as much as we possibly can. One, on the credit card point side, which Carlton mentioned, using credit card points for free travel. That's just such an amazing byproduct of credit. Something I figured out over the last 5 years is I reverse engineered the underwriting process to understand exactly what they're looking for. So when you apply for a credit card, if you do the right framework, then you can get approved for max limit on a per card basis. So this is 50 to 75K on a per card basis with some of the top banks, and you can do that over 8 different cards and quite easily get between $100,000 and $250,000 at 0% interest for the first 12 to 18 months. So in my first year of starting to figure this out, I got approved for over $500,000 of business funding, and I just really cracked the code because I had inside information from the banks who had contacts with the underwriters. So I knew exactly what they were looking for, and I reverse engineered that process to then help people get access to this type of funding. So I've helped over 3,000 people over the last 5 years get access to business funding, total funded on confirmed results of over 100 million collectively funded on 0% interest business credit cards, and it's just been an amazing journey. One thing that Bridger was presenting on was about John D. Rockefeller, and one of the reasons John D. Rockefeller was able to move so quick at the beginning of his journey is because he had access to money. He had really good bank relationships, and then he accumulated a bunch of money, but he had really good borrowing power. And so we used that money to acquire all this land and acquire different businesses. And so when I learned that, when I was reading Rockefeller's biography, that really resonated with me. And so when I started in business over 10 years ago, the only way I knew how to fund businesses was with my hard-earned cash. It was a very slow process. My second business, I learned about an equity partner. They bring the money, I do the work. I brought on the terrible partner, had to buy them out, but I did move quicker. And then on my next business, I learned about business loans. So I took on a business loan, I was paying 10% interest, and what it did for that business is it allowed me to move quick and take market share from my competitor, and then that actually led to an acquisition of that travel company. But at the end of the day, I was paying interest on that loan. So I saw how much it moved, how much it let me move quicker and led to an acquisition, which was amazing. And then I learned about business credit cards where you can get 0% interest for the first 1 to 2 years. So you're not using your own money, you're not giving away equity, and you're not paying interest for that first 12 to 18 months. So it solved all of my funding issues that I had the previous 7 years. And then I realized no one knows how to do this because they don't teach it in school. Just like tax strategy, you have to be proactive to learn these things. And that's what I did, and I'm teaching thousands of people. So to do this, you don't need an aged business. If you have one, it helps. You don't need to have cash flow or revenue. You don't need to have tax returns or financials. What you do need is just some sort of active LLC. Okay, an active LLC, have a social security number, works, for Americans. And on that point, this credit product is only available to Americans. If you're a Canadian citizen and you don't have a social security number, they don't really have 0% interest cards. Europe, certainly not. Like, this is such an amazing resource that we have as Americans. And I think potentially it's a disservice to not take advantage of it, because you can just start more businesses, scale your business to the next level, hire more equipment, use the money as a down payment to acquire a business, hire certain people, go rent studio space to make content, whatever it is in your business, or use to furnishings of an Airbnb that Carlton and his team, of course, talk about. And they helped me get one last year. That was fantastic and saved me a bunch of money. It's fantastic. And then you need a 700 plus credit score. So you guys on the vibe check, you guys are a little bit more advanced. So you know that the accounts don't report. You can utilize the business credit card limits. Doesn't affect your personal credit report, etc. So it's really just a game-changing product. So real quick, I want to show you what an 850 credit score looks like. Okay, this first example has 20 open accounts. So building credit is something you want to do over time. You can't just open 20 accounts in the first year because it's going to just tank your score and tank your age, etc. So you want to be building credit over time. More accounts, the better, but you only want to apply for a few accounts per year, and you don't want to close accounts. So they had 16 credit cards, 1 authorized user, 2 installment loans, and 1 mortgage. That was my first 850 example. The next one, they did it with only 15 open accounts, which actually blew my mind because I thought you needed 20 open accounts. So with 15, only 2 primary credit cards, 8 student loans, an authorized user, an auto loan, personal loan, business loan that reported the personal, and 1 mortgage. So his credit mix was super diverse with different credit products. And when you're at 850, it becomes very easy to get the best interest rates on different loans and definitely make it easier to get approved for high limits. Even like once you're at 780 plus, things become very easy and you get the best rates and saves you a ton of money. So this would be a really good one to take a screenshot of. This is kind of the optimization guidelines that I've determined is best, the most attractive credit profile possible before applying for business credit cards, really type any credit product, but mainly 0% interest business credit cards if you fit this criteria. So utilization on a per account basis of your personal credit cards, bring that under 10%. You can use the cards on a monthly basis, but you want to pay them down before the statement closing date every single month if you want the best score. When it comes to the number of primary credit cards and collective limits, this is a really important section. So ideally, you want to have at least 5 primary personal credit cards reporting to your personal credit profile. There's more accounts, you look more trustworthy, they're with different banks, it makes you look better. When it comes to collective limits, this is the number you add up of all your personal credit cards. Ideally, you want to be collectively between 40 and 80,000 of collective personal credit limits. And if you're below that, then you would want to apply for certain personal credit cards to increase your collective limits. This is a very important criteria of your credit profile if you want to have good limits. When it comes to hard inquiries, no more than 2 in the last 6 months. And it's cool with certain hard inquiries, you can dispute these hard inquiries with the credit bureaus and get them removed from your credit profile, which is a pretty easy thing to do. So a lot of people wonder, well, Jack, if I'm applying for 8 different business credit cards in the same day, aren't I gonna get a bunch of hard inquiries? The answer is yes. But one advanced strategy is to maybe apply for like 4 or 5 and then dispute those hard inquiries, get them removed from your profile, and then apply for the rest of the business credit cards. So that kind of puts the brakes on. When you get too many hard inquiries, you want to put the brakes on, possibly get them removed, and then continue. So when it comes to the personal credit cards, and this might sound tedious, but it's very important because the personal credit cards you have on your profile is a significant thing that the banks, the underwriters are looking for. And so there's different tiers of personal credit cards. We have tier 1, which is the top 4 banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Citi, okay? And then these are the credit cards you want to focus on, personal credit cards, to optimize that personal credit profile to make yourself attractive. When it comes to the next tier, this is American Express, US Bank, Capital One, and then some of the regional banks. And then tier 3, you'd only want to touch credit unions, retail store accounts, etc. I know some people have Navy Fed personal credit cards and like, oh, they got me a $30,000 limit. It's a big limit, but it's a tier 3 card. So it really doesn't look as good as a $10,000 limit on a tier 1 card like Chase, okay? And another reason you want to get the top tier cards is to build relationships, okay? The first relationship we're going to talk about is the credit relationship. Next is going to be the banking relationship. So when a bank trusts you, of course, they're going to lend you more money. So how do we build that trust with the banks? You first do that through a credit relationship, okay? So here's the priority I would list in terms of building credit relationships: American Express, Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Okay, so if you have different credit cards outside of these 4, you're building a relationship with a bank that just doesn't matter as much as these 4. And you want to be intentional with your effort, intentional with your time. So you might as well be building a relationship with a bank that has the best 0% interest business credit products. So you can snap your finger, get access to 100 grand, 200 grand when you need it. So you can put that into a real estate deal, into your business, different investment, etc. And so these are some of the personal cards on the left that I would get first, and that's gonna build trust. So when you apply for their business card on the right, they're gonna give you a higher limit because they trust you. The next relationship is gonna be the banking relationships. This one is super important. So in my opinion, it doesn't make any sense to bank at a credit union or Citibank or Capital One or Discover, because building relationships with those banks is not building a relationship with the bank that has the best business credit products, okay? So Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, and US Bank, they have really good business credit products, both the 0% cards and business lines of credit, which you can get massive 50 to 100K limits, and you can have access to that money when you need it. So when it comes to Bank of America, and this is how I would rank it, because Bank of America is the strictest on relationship. They really need to see a relationship over like 3 to 6 months. And the more revenue you can show Bank of America, if you have the revenue, the better. Chase doesn't favor the revenue as much as Bank of America. Wells Fargo doesn't matter that much. And so for Chase, Bank of America, and US Bank, you can start to build this relationship just by at least having a business checking account open with them. If you can show some activity, it definitely helps, but the most activity you want to show is going to be in the Bank of America account. And I'm going to show a brand new max funding strategy that I just developed at Bank of America coming up soon, and that's going to be a good one. This is a really easy way to get a personal loan that you can use for anything you would like. So it's called the LightStream loan, and you can get approved for this without showing any income verification, without any tax returns, etc. And this is what I did 2 or 3 years ago. I got the first one approved for $35,000 at just 5.something%. And then I used that for a crypto investment. It made me some money. And then a year later, I applied for another LightStream loan for $50,000, and then I put that money to work as well. This isn't a business loan. It does show up on your personal credit report, but it's a really good way to get access to more money if you need more money for whatever you're doing. Okay, so now we're gonna start talking about business credit bureaus. So the 2 business credit bureaus is Experian and Dun & Bradstreet. There's also Equifax Small Business, but the ones that really matter is Experian Small Business and Dun & Bradstreet, okay? So there's a couple ways to build your scores on D&B and Experian Small Business. So the easiest and most effective way to build scores is going to be through these subscriptions I'm about to go through. This used to be more difficult to build a business credit score. And what's interesting is most of the business credit cards, they don't report to your personal profile, and they don't even report to the business credit profiles. So the way you get things to report to the business credit profiles is through these, they're called vendor trade lines. And so a year or 2 ago, the best strategy was to basically make purchases with different vendors on net 30 terms that would report that payment experience to the business credit bureaus. But now this is a strategy I just fine-tuned 3 weeks ago before I launched my new program. And it is so easy, so cost-effective, and it basically adds payment experiences to your business credit bureaus, so you get an 80 score on both of them. And so when you apply for a business credit card, the most important thing is the personal credit profile. What does your score look like? How many accounts do you have? What are your collective limits, etc. The next thing is going to be the relationship with the bank that we talked about. And then another important factor is, do you have scores on the business credit bureaus, like Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Small Business? So if you don't have scores, you would want to follow these exact steps to build those scores. The first one is going to be through Nav Prime. Now, Nav Prime is a credit monitoring service for the business credit bureaus, okay? So you can actually look at some of your business credit bureaus through the subscription, which is great in itself. And then if you pay for their $50 a month subscription, it reports the subscription and the Nav Prime credit card, which is basically like a virtual card. So you pay $50 a month, and you just do it for 1 month. And then it will report to Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Small Business, and you can see those 2 on the screen are reporting. So for $50 a month, just for the first month, you get 2 trade lines reporting. Super easy. Next is going to be this one on the left-hand side called Fair Figure. Similar. It's a subscription that reports the transaction to the 2 business credit, actually more than 2, but Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Small Business. So for only, I think it's $24, $25, you get another vendor trade line. So similar to the personal credit, we want more accounts. we want more vendor trade lines, because when a bank looks at your credit bureaus, if there's more accounts, you look more trustworthy, you look more credible, therefore it's easier to get access to money when you need the money. And even if you don't need the money now, you want to be building credit over time, because you want to, like, when you have an opportunity, you want to snap your fingers and have that 150K. You don't want to have that opportunity cost where if you didn't build your credit and now you can't get it, it's going to take you a little bit of time to build up to that point. So this is the easiest way to build your business credit bureaus right here. And I just came up with a strategy less than a month ago. So the third subscription is called eCredible. eCredible, and it's 19 bucks, 20 bucks a month. And you do the same thing. You just pay for this subscription for 1 month. And through those 3 subscriptions, you have 4 vendor trade lines reporting to your business credit bureaus. So maybe you already have a score, great. You already have 3 trade lines, great. To get 6 or 7 trade lines, it's going to make a more resilient profile on the business credit bureaus. And once they report, they'll stay reporting for the next 2 years. So that's why you don't have to keep the subscription going. So for like less than 125 bucks, you have business credit scores. It's the easiest, most cost-effective, streamlined approach was what I just went through right there. So when you have multiple LLCs, it helps you gain options on business funding. So the people with only one entity, one LLC, they're a little bit more limited on someone if they have several different entities. I found the sweet spot to be 2. Like if you have 5, you would want to pick the 2 strongest entities in terms of age and in terms of the industry risk. Lower risk can get you more funding, so you want to prioritize the 2 strongest. So if you don't have 2, I would highly recommend file a second one, because once that gets 6 months old, 12 months old, even 2 years old, you're going to have more business funding options. And again, even if you don't need it now, you will thank yourself if you have 2 entities in the future when you need that funding. And so banks are more willing to lend money to you if you have 2 entities. So one example, you can go to Chase and apply for 2 of their 0% business cards and hopefully get 50K on each, maybe even 75K on each. But through a lot of data that I see, if someone's going in with 2 entities, applying for the first card on entity 1 and the second card on entity 2, that will increase the amount of total funding they get access to. The chance of that person getting approved for collectively 150K, 0% for 12 months, just at Chase, dramatically increases. And it's generally the case at a lot of the different banks to have 2 entities instead of just 1. These are my top 3 favorite 0% interest business cards, and let me tell you why. So Chase, as I just mentioned, gives very high limits. So between $50,000 and $75,000 on each of these Chase cards, and you can get 1 of each of them. Best case result is you get $150,000 approved at Chase for 12 months. It's pretty insane. American Express, they have the Business Blue Plus and the Business Blue Cash. They look the same, so a lot of times people don't know they actually have 2, but they do have 2, and you can apply for both of them at the same exact time and hopefully get 25K per, if not sometimes a little bit more. The next is Bank of America. Bank of America actually has 4 different 0% cards and some non-0% cards, and we'll go into that max funding strategy at Bank of America here in a sec. So here is even a more important reason why these are my 3 favorite at these specific banks. So you can roll over available limits to different cards at that same bank, okay? So at Chase, for example, if you have an old Chase card and you get a brand new Chase 0% card, you can move the old limits over to the new card to get more 0%. You can do that at Bank of America and American Express as well. These are really the only 3 banks that let you move limits quite freely. US Bank, you can't do that. Truist and Elon Financial, you can't do that. So these cards give high limits and they let you move the limits between cards, even if it's a different entity. We'll go into detail a little bit more on this next slide here. Moving credit limits is an absolute life hack in business funding. Say you were approved for a Chase 0% card, like the Ink Unlimited right at the top, the blue one, this year for 50,000 bucks, okay? You get to the end of the year, you pay the card down, and now there's no more 0% because that expired after 12 months. Well, then you can apply for the Ink Cash, okay? So even if you only get a $10,000 limit, you can move the old 50,000 over to this new $10,000 card. So now you have $60,000 at 0%. You use that 60 grand for the next 12 months. Hopefully you can pay it down, and then you can apply for another business credit card at Chase, And even if it's only a $5,000 limit, you can move that 60 grand to that new 5K card. And now you have 0% for 12 months on 65,000 bucks. And even if you got denied on that 5K card, they're like, no, we're not gonna lend you any more credit. You can tell them, you can call them and say, hey, you don't need to lend me any more credit. Can you just open this card up with credit that you've already lent me? So they take 5K of the old 60, open the new card, perfect. We just got in with 12 months, 0%. So on the next call, you can say, hey, can you move that 55 over to that new 5K card? And now we have 60K, 0% again. This is an incredible strategy. You can do this at Chase, Bank of America, and American Express. And that's another reason why you want to prioritize building a relationship with these banks for this exact strategy. Okay, so max funding strategy at American Express. Okay, I try to get people 50K approved at American Express on their 0% cards. But there's a couple things you want to do before applying for these cards at Amex. You want to build the credit relationship. I haven't really found it helpful to build a banking relationship at Amex because they're not like a real bank. There's no branches. They have like an online account. But I think the better way to do that is through a credit relationship. So you can do this through either the Amex personal credit cards or through their business charge card, like the Amex Business Gold, which is one of my favorite cards for earning points, 4 points per dollar spent on dining and advertising. It's a great point in software, so it's a great points card. So if you're newer to Amex, you don't have a relationship with them, I would first get the Amex Business Gold, spend on that card naturally for the next 60 days, maybe 90 days, pay it all off, and then apply for the 0%, the 2 business cards at American Express. This way, they've trusted you for the last 90 days, you paid it down, and boom, they're gonna trust you. Okay, so that's what you would do before applying for the 0% cards at American Express. Next is gonna be Bank of America. You guys ready for this one? This is a good one. I've just developed this 2 months ago. So Bank of America is generally hard to get approved for a lot of funding at, okay? On a per card basis, they don't approve that much relative to Chase. Like Chase, you can get 50K approved, 75K approved, but Bank of America, it's generally like a 9 to 15K per card. So what I figured out is you can apply for all 5 of their business credit cards. And if you get 15K on the first one, you usually get like 10 or 15K on the next one. Then there's like an 80% chance you get 10 to 15K on the third one. And then you go to 4th, and then you go to 5th, okay? I only thought they had 3 0% cards. And at first my strategy was just apply for the 3 0% cards and then call that good. And then I was like, what if we apply for all 5 of them, and then we can consolidate all of the limits to 1 card? You know, it's less helpful if it's 10K times 5 on 5 different cards, but 50K on 1 card, it's a pretty sweet thing. And so if the first is approved, we apply for the second. Second is approved, we apply for the third, and then go 4, and then go 5. And then you call them and say, hey, I want to consolidate these limits to 1 card. So ideally it's a 50K card at Bank of America. And before doing all of that, you want to build that banking relationship. As I stressed at the beginning, building the bank relationship at Bank of America is the most important bank to build that banking relationship with. So next is going to be talking about business lines of credit, specifically ones you can get with no financials, no tax returns. And then there's going to be a strategy where we can use these business lines of credit to leverage the lines to then get 0% for years if you need. So Wells Fargo is the best bank that I've seen to get business lines of credit, limits of generally $50,000 if you're not showing any tax returns. Tax returns, financials, etc. I know a lot of us don't like to show our tax returns sometimes. You can still get a business line of credit approved at Wells Fargo without the tax returns. You just want to go open up a business checking account beforehand, put 10 or 20 grand if you can budget that in the account, let that sit for 1 to 2 months. We call that letting the money season in the account, and then come back and apply for the business line of credit, and hopefully you get approved for $50,000. Business lines of credit, they act like a bank account that they show up in Wells Fargo and you can just transfer the money over, super easy. Or like a business credit card, you know, you have to like run it through a merchant processor. You can't just transfer money off. There's ways to do it, and we'll touch on that. But business line of credit is just so fluid with the money. Like I have a 90K business line of credit at Chase and one at Wells Fargo too, and it's so convenient to just move 70 grand over to my bank account when I need to bridge a payment or put onto an investment, etc. So Truist and Citizens are regional banks, generally kind of on the East Coast. But if you have access to these banks, Truist and Citizens, and they're in Texas as well, very good banks. When it comes to extending 0% interest for years with a business line of credit, let's jump into this strategy. So what do we know so far regarding this topic? We know that some banks allow you to move limits to new cards. We know that you can get multiple business cards at the same bank. We know it's best to have balances of less than 50% on the card at the bank that you're applying if you're getting another card. Well, now you know because it's the first time I was saying it. But if you're going to get a card again at the same bank, you want to pay that first one down to less than 50%. So your next application at that bank is going to be easier to get approved. We know you can liquidate credit cards into cash. So let me touch on that. And Carlton mentioned this as well. So credit liquidation is on the gray hat strategy side. It's legal, but the banks don't exactly like it. And here's the process. So you run the card through a merchant processor. Whether you pay a big invoice to someone else and they just wire you the money back, it's called credit liquidation. It's a very common thing, and that's how you get the cash off the card without doing a merchant processor, without doing a cash advance. A cash advance is expensive, then you're paying fees, but you can do a credit liquidation, and there's services that do that. And so here's how we use the business line of credit to help with paydowns. So if you get to the end of that 12-month period on your Chase card, and it's a 75, or it's called 50, it's a $50,000 limit on the Chase card, and you don't quite have the liquidity to pay it down, here's how you would do it. You would pull from a $50K business line of credit and pay down that card at Chase. So now the balance is on the business line of credit. Now your Chase card is paid off. Then you apply for the second card at Chase. Okay, you're gonna get a new 0% card at Chase. Hopefully you just get 10, 20, doesn't really matter what you get. You see the card open so you can move the old limits to that new card like we talked about. So then we would liquidate the second card, which hopefully it's another 50, 75K, etc. We would liquidate that card for a 3% fee, the merchant processor fee, and then now we have cash in our bank account. And then now we use that cash to pay off the business line of credit. Okay, so now the balance is on that new credit card that's 0% for 12 months. So we use that business line of credit to pay down the first card. We got approved for the second card, moved all the limits over, liquidated the card, and then paid off the business line of credit. You guys follow me on that? So you do that one time for 1 year, and then if you need to do it again the next year, you can just repeat that exact same strategy. That's actually something I figured out just 6 months ago, pretty deep into my journey in credit. I was like, wait, you could just bridge that over.